Hello everyone, I'm joined by Ice today from AOMA, a one-man army, to talk about their upcoming Stage 4 run as they head into the top 8 playoffs. Now, I actually want to start because AOMA, they finished 4th place in Face It Season 2, and then after that is when you joined the team. So what drew you to joining this team initially?
When I saw that they were actually really competitive in Stage 3, I thought that if I joined the team, I think the team could become really strong. So I actually DM'd their coach, whom I've been coached before by. So when I just DM'd them, they were interested, and then it kind of just happened really quickly.
And then what have been the sort of early impressions then since you've joined the org?
And the org itself, or the team.
The org itself.
I mean, I was offered to go to the facility as well because Avo, Donghoon, and TopDragon are at the facility. But I was ill last week, and my university is starting now, so it kind of fell through, unfortunately. But I think the org is really good actually. They're taking good care of the players.
Yeah, I think it's pretty nice how they have a facility there and a chance for TopDragon and Donghoon to actually compete on good pink.
Yeah.
I want to ask as well, because you've been on a few different teams this year so far. How would you rate this team in terms of all the teams you've been on this year?
It's probably the best. It's probably the best team, even though we had a really good result on Peace and Love in that Stage 2. But I think this team is better probably because we have like these two really insane players that are kind of carrying. So I think that lifts us up very highly.
I wanted to maybe try and get a bit of a feel for the internal dynamic as well, because we don't always see much from the outside in terms of how the team actually functions. And even when we get some clips of comms, it's normally just like winning moment, everyone's celebrating. So is there a person on the team who talks the most or is like the in-game cooler in these situations?
Usually on my past teams, I was like always the one who's like calling the most and everything, and I was kind of expecting to have to do that as well this time because I mean I just went into the team thinking the Koreans were probably just gonna have like big ego, not gonna talk that much bad at English. That was like what I kind of expected. But now that we're playing, it's actually TopDragon who's talking the
Oh,
most, which
really?
is really surprised. Yeah, he's like usually Donghoon is making the ult tracks and like general fight plans, and then I'm like just saying what we're gonna do in the end, with the info Donghoon gives, like ult track or ult advantage, blah blah blah, you know. Then I end up making the plan, but mid fight it's like Top Drake making a lot of these important target calls and everything. So it's probably pretty equal between us three. And Avo and Alpha don't really talk that much, but if there's like a plan with a bulb or a high noon, that's like Avo's gonna call that as well.
And then who's the funniest player on the team?
Funny, it's probably Donghoon. We're always
Yeah.
making fun of him when he's on Brig against Widow, not shielding. Like giving him the tip, maybe press your right click when the Widow is looking at you. It's usually actually pretty funny. It's usually TopDragon just making these like funny flame calls to Donghoon, which is pretty funny as well.
And then who would you say complains the most on the team? Who's always got like an excuse if they die, or they got something? They've always got an answer back if something goes wrong.
Yeah, whenever there's like a discussion or like, oh, maybe we should do this instead of this, is like Donghoon is always the guy to be like, nah. So, and when he dies, he's always flaming back and everything. But it's all kind of banter. It's not really that serious. But it's Donghoon, the guy who complains the most. And after that, probably me. I like to
Yeah.
do some complaining as well. Yeah.
And then I want to ask about the coaches as well, because you've got Nat, I'm gonna probably say this wrong, but Nat Dokje and Cass both coaching as well. What are they
Yeah,
like as
Natoka,
coaches with the
Kaz.
team?
I mean, if I had to do the dad coach and
The scale.
Adolf Hitler scale, I would probably put them like just in the middle where they're like not like what they're saying is not like 100% we have to do this, but kind of more of a food of thought. but they will also defend their opinion even if like the Koreans are talking back. So, and before I was getting coached by Jiu, who's like the ultimate fucking right side coach, you know, the guy who's like the strictest. You don't talk back, you know. You're a fucking, you're
Do
just
it
a
my
player.
way.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah. So this is kind of nice as well. But I've actually learned to like that style a lot because it helped me improve so much individually of just listening to the coach and just following what he tells me to do, and it usually ends up working. Surprisingly, doing what the coach says.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah.
And then is this your first time working with Koreans?
Yeah.
How have you found the experience so far then? Because from what I understand, they both have pretty good English, right? So there's like a bit less of a language barrier.
I mean, they're basically both pretty fluent. I don't know, like on the interview, I don't know why TopDragon even did it in Korean. I feel like he could have done it in English as well, but
it always happens. It's the same. I think it was Moby Dick was the same. All of these Koreans who have perfect English will have a conversation with you. Then you ask if they would do an interview in English. No, in Korean only.
Yeah. So, wait, what was the question again?
How have you found working with the Koreans?
I mean, these guys are just really great teammates. So, it's been really good.
Is there anything you feel you've learned where maybe they see a game a different way than you've experienced before or than on other teams you've been on?
I mean, probably just Dongwon wanting to just go early every time. I've kind of noticed that whenever he makes like an ult track, and like no matter if we have more ults, they have more ults, whatever it is, he's always like, oh, they have more ults, we gotta go first. Oh, we have more ults, we gotta go first. We gotta engage here. There's no other way around it. And I'm like, yo, we can maybe just chill. Let's take it slow, you know?
Yeah.
So
well, sometimes
probably that. They love going first. They love playing aggressive.
Yeah. Well, it sometimes works out quite nicely then if you've got sort of one person on each side of a scale. And then you can maybe find a balance.
Unless you're like heavily arguing it in game, then, you know?
Yeah.
As long as you end up on the same page, it's fine.
And then I wanted to ask you about the meta as well, because obviously most people have watched a lot of Korea and a lot of the action from the last weekend, and it very much seems like Juno Brig is here to stay, and there's also a lot of Orisa being played. So your role in that, I feel like Orisa isn't a hero we've seen you loads on so far. How do you feel you rank in terms of, you know, like the top Orisas in the region, or how familiar are you with the hero?
I think... I mean, I'm not the greatest Orisa in the world. It's not my favorite hero as well. I kind of preferred the meta before where it was Ram because I'm much better at that. But I mean, I'm just playing Orisa, improving at it slowly, and I don't think I'm like the best Orisa in Europe. But I feel like when there's heroes like when you're talking about like Sigma or Ram, there's like everyone is kind of at the same level, and then there's like Vestola and KSA like above everyone. But I feel like on Orisa, it's just more even. There's no one who's like just exceptional, better than everyone, miles ahead. It's kind of more you know, more similar
like
in skill level.
Even playing field for everyone.
Yeah.
What do you think are the most important things for an Orisa in this meta then?
I think the positioning and the results, like the pre-fight positioning, the setups are pretty important, and how you want to spam, how you want to take spam, you know, for Juno, etc. And then how you use your result. You know, it's kind of the combo setup thing for you can just combo it with every ult you have, and it's always going to be good. Like you can combo it with a Bob, you can combo it with a Dragon Blade, the Green Goblin combo. You can combo it with Juno ult, even with like Brick Bash. So setting up these combos is really important, I think. It's kind of when I watched this, I kind of realized that when I watched the Korea matches, is that somehow Hanbin would just kill, like get kills every time they use the result, and the other teams would never get these kills. So there's got to be something he's doing there, you know. And I think it's just setting up these combos.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time when you get to these sort of like quite heavy brawly metas where teams are just mirroring each other, it does just become like a lot more about the ult economy and who can hit these combos or who is a step ahead in the fight plan that type of game. And then I want to ask you about TopDragon as well, because I feel like whenever we talk about AOMA, everyone always wants to talk about TopDragon because he's very much seen as the star player. And in this current meta, obviously we saw a lot of Genji in Korea, which I think lots of people rate TopDragon probably as one of his best heroes, if not his best. How impressed have you been with TopDragon since coming into the team and playing with him sort of day in, day out?
I obviously knew that he was like really good player from just watching the gameplay, right? So I wasn't really like that surprised when I started playing with him and he's like doing all these good plays and setups and whatnot. But I was actually just surprised with how he is as a teammate because he's actually like just a really great teammate. Like never tilted, always positive, always like never going silent, always like trying to keep the energy up. So that's what I've been just really surprised with. He's such a good teammate.
And then if we think about the stage 4 tournament so far, you had like a bit of a rocky road in groups because you had a dogfight against Peps initially, but then second time around felt a lot more comfortable. What do you think the big difference was between that first series with Peps and the second series with Peps?
I didn't play in the first series because I was like traveling back from vacation. Because during the Swiss stage, I was actually on vacation, so that's my excuse for why we didn't finish first in the Swiss stage. And then in the groups, I was like on the plane back, so there was like no way for me to play. But obviously, we won anyways. And then in our second match, I mean, I think it was easy to see that we were like the much better team than them, especially once they started stopped with their Mickey Mouse tomfoolery comms, So
Well, it felt like it actually got easier for you once they just took the mirror.
yeah,
Then it was just
I
like
don't.
it was.
I feel like they shouldn't do that. Just pick
Yeah,
King's Row, Orisa mirror. That's not what they want to be doing.
need Crocs on his like
Yeah,
on his
cheese
carry mode
sticks.
heroes. Yeah.
But to be honest, we should have lost Ilios as well. Like that could have been a 5 map series as
Yeah.
well. But we kind of just that was like a warm up map.
And then I want to talk because you played VP as well, who you weren't able to beat, but you did take a map off them. How close do you feel you are to what I guess most people would regard as like these sort of elite, the sort of top 3 or 4 European teams?
I'm not sure because we haven't scrimped them. The only like indicator I have is that match, and I feel like we actually should have won that match. Like there was so many like unlucky and bad things going away, and I don't feel like I played that well, like as well as I could in that match as well. So I'm actually pretty disappointed that we lost that one because I think that was like a really winnable match.
And then if we look to the the knockout bracket, the first game is against ENCE, which is obviously not a game that most people would want as their first game, but what are your expectations or how are you feeling about going into that one?
I'm pretty excited about it. I think in these kind of matchups, it's pretty easy to make an upset. So I hope that we can just show that it's actually gonna be competitive, and I think maybe it's possible to beat them. Who knows? I'm just gonna try.
And if we look at the tournament as a whole, obviously the ideal result is you win the tournament and you get a Stockholm out. But there's also different tiers of success here, I think, depending on like the expectations coming in. So what's the sort of how far in the tournament or what would you have to achieve for the tournament to feel like a success for you?
I would be disappointed with the top 8 finish. Top 5 to 6 would be like, alright, that's alright, and I would be happy with anything top 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. And in these type of metas, what do you think is the biggest thing that separates maybe the top teams from the rest of the teams?
I think player experience is really important in these like long drawn out old messy fights. The more experienced players are just gonna end up getting more value in these longer fights, and obviously the old macro and setups are one of the most important things as well.
And then is there any team in this tournament that you're particularly looking forward to facing or you really want to beat if you come up against them?
Probably the ENCE.
ENCE, yeah.
I actually really want to beat them.
Okay, and then based on what you've seen so far, if you had to pick a favourite for the tournament, obviously excluding yourselves because I feel like you might be biased, who do you think is the strongest team in the region right now?
I mean, I just probably SSG, I guess, or ENCE. I don't know. We haven't gotten a scrim, like a really good scrim against one of them, so probably just either of them.
Outside the exclusive scrim bubble still. It's unfortunately the way it goes.
Yeah.
All right then. Thank you very much, Ice. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Obviously, best of luck to you and the team for the tournament. I'm sure we'll see much more of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.